Pokemon Sword and Shield introduced the idea of DLCs to the franchise. I mean, adding DLC was an obvious move for Game Freak, and it was clearly just a quick cash grab, but it leaves a question. What about the Agnos Region's DLC? Hold up, before we go anywhere, you're not subscribed. You know who you are. And even though 32% of you are subscribed, do notice that 68% of you are not. What's the big deal, guys? So, before you go anywhere, please do us a favor and subscribe. Appreciate it heaps. Cheers. Once purchasing the Agnos Region's Opulent Isles DLC expansion pack, you'll receive a letter from a parcel carrying Putrepie. And just so we're clear, there is no real DLC. This is all conceptual. Got it? Cool. Come back home now. Signed, your rival. And so you do. Back we are to Tutorstead. At the town centre now is a large mass of distorted energy, a tear in the space-time continuum. Looking through, you think you can make out some strange landscapes, but overall it's too distorted to see. Without much of a plan, you and your rival step through. Welcome to the Opulent Isles. I mentioned in multiple past videos that there was a fourth realm that had now been forgotten with time. This is it. Now, the reason it had been forgotten is that no one has actually wound up here after death. I based the Opulent Isles after Greek mythology's Isles of the Blessed. The entry requirements to get into this realm was to be reincarnated 3 times and make it to the Elysium all 3 lives. But, well, in our canon, you're the first person to ever make it out of one of these realms. Therefore, no one has ever made it to the Opulent Isles. But your escape fucked with the natural order of things and opened a rift. Your rival explains that after the breakout, a multitude of the deceased had escaped into the Isles, and the legendary that governs this land has grown enraged. Looking above to the highest island of the realm, Jaegon had hoarded this paradise to himself. Jaegon, the perfect Pokémon. This is the first time anyone has ever laid eyes on him, previously only known to people in old wives' tales as a great, big creature without any flaws. Its name simply pulls from dragon and Jaeger, which means hunter. It has this whole theme of perfection, so its name also pulls from Attack on Titan's Eren Yeager, because overpowered main character with plot armor, as well as Jaeger Bomb. Oh, and Jaegon also has its own signature move, just like the other legendaries. Isle Blessing. It is a move that reverts the user to its peak condition. Isle Blessing fully restores the user's health and reverts all stat changes, though halves the PP for all other moves. Either way, Jaegon is fucking pissed, and upon interacting with him, takes your rival hostage and orders you to return the escapees to where they belong. So that's the main focus of the expansion pass. Defeat the escapees and save your rival. There are 9 escapees in total, trainers that we had already faced in the other realms, but now they have full teams of 6. Similar to the fights against the quote-unquote gym leader stand-ins, there will be a challenge first and then a battle. All of these can be fought in any order, with a little exception that I'll go over in a bit. Our fugitives from the pits of punishment are Gulliver, Holmes, and Guare. The challenges all derive from their punishments. You'll find Guare riding a chariot along a long strip of land. The challenge before you battle him is an unfair chariot race, in which he'll throw bronze kettles and flaming torches at you. Dodging his attacks and coming out victorious in the race will allow you to engage in combat. His full team is made up of a Mimikyu, Braviary, Flareon, Furret, Xurkitree, and Dodrio. Holmes can be found pushing a boulder up a hill. Again, now that he's no longer a prisoner, he plans on finally getting the boulder to the top. Your goal is to just fucking ruin his day. Chase after him while dodging falling rocks and boulders, and push his boulder down the hill before he makes it to the top. Only then may you battle against his Shackold, Golem, Dust Noir, Alolan Golem, Shedinja, and Cinderace. At a banquet table, eating shit tons of food, is Gulliver. Simply poison his food without him noticing, and you can battle him when he sprints off with the runs. His new team comprises of a Beggart, Flapple, Vaporeon, Guzzlord, Swalot, and Greedent. Making their way from the fields of triumph, we have Alphonse, Percy, and Homer. The challenge here pulls from the achievements of their Greek hero counterparts. Starting with Homer. So because Odysseus took a 10-year-long voyage to get home, before facing Homer, you have to wait 10 years. Nah, I'm fucking with you. It'll be a running and parkour section in which you'll have to avoid the gaze of his shiny Polyclops. And so on his team is the shiny Polyclops, a Mismagius, Werewool, Sirenade, Mandrunk, and Scyllace. Next up, Percy, whose challenge is a changing maze of golden statues. The idea behind this pulls from the Emporium in the Percy Jackson films. God, what a fucking awful movie. Filled with statues that Medusa had turned to stone. I went with gold instead of stone though, because it wouldn't really fit the vibe of the Opulent Isles otherwise. His team consists of a shiny Gorgonite, Pegasoar, Archaic Wailord, Delphox, Tangrowth, and Aegislash. For Alphonse's challenge, you'll have to wrestle against his shiny Archaic Arcanine. Choke it out, and you'll earn the right to battle. Of course, he has the Arcanine, but also Hydreigon, Miasswine, Skarmory, Heracross, and Archaic Tauros. Archaic Tauros are only found in the Opulent Isles, though they were once heaps common in the overworld. Now, cattle back in the day were pretty much currency. The more cows you had, the cooler you were. This guy in particular is based off of a couple cows of Greek myth. Gerion's cattle, the cattle of Helios, and the cattle Hermes stole from Apollo. The cattle of Geryon had coats made red by the red light of the sunset, hence Archaic Tauros' colour scheme. Obtaining these fellas was also Heracles' 10th labour. The cattle of Helios were immortal cows guarded by Helios' daughters. It was known to man that harm to any single animal was sure to bring down the wrath of the god. The Tauros are pretty important to Jaegon in a similar sense. And finally, when Hermes was a child, he had come across and stolen 50 cows from Apollo. Now, he was a clever little fuck, and to mask his tracks, he led the cows backwards so that their hoof tracks would be facing backwards. That's why Archaic Tauros' hooves face in reverse. The cow itself is based off of the Greek shorthorn, and I gave it wings because, well, Red Bull gives you wings. I haven't touched an energy drink in many years, but at the time of designing Agnos' Fakémon, I was chugging at least 3 a day, so there you have it. The number of Tauros in one's herd had once determined someone's wealth. They are, however, now extinct due to poachers, thieves, and bandits. The people who made their way out of the dreary meadows are the trio of Jean, Sasha, and Jordan. These guys are the exception to the any order rule. You have to beat both Sasha and Jordan before facing Jean. They seem a bit different to the others. They're happy to return to the meadows as long as you do them favors first. Why? Well, it seems as though Jean is scheming up a plan of sorts. But it doesn't fucking matter to you, so who cares? Sasha sends you on a journey back to the overworld to collect some mysterious vials from a secret area beneath Professor Hawthorne's laboratory. How the fuck did she know about this secret area? Well, if you've watched previous videos, you can probably piece things together. This area is basically a little mini dungeon, and once you bring her the vials, you may engage in combat. On her team now are a Trudskull, Galvantula, Hypno, Frostlass, Hitmontop, and Wobbuffet. Jordan will also ask you to collect something from the overworld, this time from Cryptwick City. He, quite literally, gets you to dig up a grave. It'll be something similar to the graveyard segment of Uncharted 4. He'll give you a description of the gravestone and some context clues. The grave contains 3 skeletons in the one, and you'll have to bring back their skulls. A bit grim, yeah, but you're literally traversing between the fucking afterlife right now after fighting in a fucking war. His team consists of an Agripan, Sonatoad, Torchair, Gallade, Zoruark, and Archaic Steelix. Archaic Steelix and Onix are some more new additions to the Agnos roster, only found in the Opulent Isles. We'll start with the Onix. Quite clearly, it is based off of the Crystal Onix from the anime. Wow, original, I know. Yeah, that's really all, honestly. Over time, as standard Onix dug deeper and deeper, few had their rocky bodies turn crystalline from the amplified heat and pressure, also affected by the strange atmosphere of the Isles. They earned themselves a place in the Isles because of Jaegon's obsession with hoarding wealth. Same goes for the piles of gold, Tauros, and Steelix. Now, the Steelix is also made of crystal, but is also covered in drachma. Drachma is one of the earliest forms of coins in the world, the currency used in ancient Greece. Often showered by riches, Steelix have adapted to a wealthy lifestyle. They must feed on minerals to survive, favoring coins and crystals as they are both pricey and easily obtainable. Once both Sasha and Jordan have been defeated, you can finally meet with Jean, who takes the items you had collected and arranges them on an altar alongside a keystone. For his challenge, you're gonna help him with some sketchy ritual. It would just be a minigame in which you have to mix the vials in a certain way, but after which, you will fight him. He has an archaic Garchomp, Pandosity, Venusaur, Yanmana, Metagross, and the final Pokemon he sends out is his shiny Nown. After beating him, you notice the keystone, which belonged to his Nown, shatter, and a great energy be released. You don't really know what it did. Doesn't look like anything's changed, but at the end of the day, you don't give a rat's ass. Just so you do know, this was actually a ritual to restore their bodies and come back to life, sacrificing his Nown when you fainted it to do so. With that, all the escapees have been forced back to their respective areas, and you return to Jaegon. It claims to be very pleased with your work, but points out an individual that you missed, someone that doesn't belong. Yourself. Now you get to fight against, and possibly capture, Jaegon. However, like the other legendaries, he gets really fucking strong before the fight. But, of course, you will come out victorious, save your rival, and leave the Isles. And that's it for the DLC, though there is also an optional battle against your rival afterwards. After completing the DLC's story, all of the other realms become open for you to explore, no matter which version of the game you have. There's also a mini side quest, in which you have to find a scattered herd of 50 Archaic Tauros. It's just like the Diglett side quest in the Sword and Shield expansion pass, and you're rewarded for every 10 you find. And finally, incentive for all the competitive nerds to buy it. Any EVs earned whilst in the Opulent Isles will go into a pool instead of a specific stat, so you can choose where the EVs go. Oh, and by the way, There are a shitload of rare Pokemon you can find here. Even ones that you wouldn't normally find in Agnos. And, the cherry on top, an increase in shiny rates within the Isles. Okay, that's it. Please subscribe. Bye-bye.